Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Now that my two obligatory informative videos are done for the day, it's time to talk about current events in the online fitness community. And someone sent me a link of, in the last couple of days, Dr. Mike Israetel in an interview discussing rack pulls. So let me put on my +5 out of weaponsmithing. Work on skilling up my crafting a little bit and let's talk about this. And you know, a lot of people are like, Jason, why do you keep harping on this exercise? I'm harping on it because it's been made really popular on YouTube, unfortunately. And anyone with even the most rudimentary understanding of human biomechanics, I mean, you don't need a full degree. If you've taken a freshman level class on human biomechanics, or you understand basic anatomy and physiology and how muscles work, it should be obvious that these short range of motion rack pulls are an actually useless exercise without even getting into the injury risk, the destruction to equipment. They're an actual waste of training and recovery resources. They're not going to make you grow. And the only handful of people who claim that they do are people who do other exercises and blast tons of gear. And they're like, well, my traps and stuff grew from it. But it's like, you guys will say, well, strongman, right? Strongman. Strongmen, most of them use gear and they do tons of standing presses. You want to know one of the most amazing exercises to blow up your traps? A standing press. That's actually better than a deadlift. In my opinion, that's a better exercise than the deadlift for building your upper traps. Rows build mid traps just as well, if not better, than any deadlift variation. There's no physiological reason to think that this exercise will make your traps grow. It's just not reality. But let me flip in what Dr. Mike has to say.
There's only one exercise I can think of that has a worse fatigue to stimulus ratio, and that's rack deadlifts or partial deadlifts, which is an exercise in pure fuckery as far as I'm concerned, unless you're a strongman or a power lifter. And a lot of bodybuilders love to do rack deadlifts because they're too fucking lazy to pick up a deadlift from the ground, and they want to be seen lifting big weights. And all these fucking idiots are on a shitload of insulin and growth hormone, and they're wearing belts all the time to keep their waist small. And then they do the only exercise that can probably actually grow your waist just for the sheer fucking amount of force you're putting through it. It's just baffling. It's just total fucking nonsense. Every time I see anyone do a rack deadlift on social media, I'm like, you're a fucking idiot. Dislike. I wish there was a fucking dislike button on Instagram. But yeah, to me, it's a wholly pointless. It's like, how do you want to get the highest chance of injury, the most fatigue? And then when I ask you what part of your body does that grow, you don't really kind of know. You're like, everything, brother. Well, that's not a fucking part of your body. Supposedly the spinal erectors, but if you do enough bent over rows and enough stiff-legged deadlifts, your spinal erectors are not a problem for you anymore. The more full range of motion the deadlift, snatch, grip deadlift, deficit deadlift, the more I can start to see an argument, especially for perhaps glute hypertrophy, especially if it's done sumo style, and some good erector hypertrophy and traps and all that stuff. But the more the range of motion decreases for the deadlift, the more it is an exercise in mismanagement of total fatigue and injury risk, I think, especially for bodybuilding.
Damn. And for those who are unaware of who Dr. Mike is, Dr. Mike has a PhD in exercise science. He has been a professor of kinesiology at Kansas State University. He's a competitive bodybuilder, competitive powerlifter, and he competes in BJJ. So he's competed in 3 different physical endeavors. He is himself a bodybuilder, but he has a PhD in exercise science. When he is telling you guys that as bodybuilders, as guys even chasing hypertrophy, that this exercise is a complete waste of your time and it's basically stupid if you do it, you should probably pay attention. And that's the thing that bothers me, is that after certain people made it popular on YouTube Fitness, others jumped on board. People who I previously liked have jumped up and said it's a good exercise. It's not. And I think that surprised a lot of people when I came out against this, because I am known as a heavyweight guy. I am a massive proponent of big, heavy barbell exercises, right? So I think it shocked a lot of people when I came out and said this exercise is a problem. You know, and people said, well, you're just saying that because you hated AlphaDestiny. No, I hated on AlphaDestiny for promoting the rack pull. That was the first thing that I saw that I didn't like about the guy. That's when he came on my radar. The rivalry didn't start between he and I until after that, because he got really upset that I called him out on this. And the reality is, Dr. Mike is right. It's a useless exercise. It has less hypertrophy potential than these other deadlift variations, and it's harder on your recovery. An exercise like this, it beats up your recovery, and is going to allow you to train less. It gives less actual hypertrophy than the deadlift does, but beats up your recovery even worse. Let that sink in. How is that a useful exercise? And ultimately, what it comes down to is he's right. People do this exercise because they're too lazy to pick up a heavy weight off the floor, and they want to be seen moving a heavy weight in the gym. That's all it comes down to ultimately. It's a show-off lift for guys who are actually lazy. That's really what it is. It's really what it is in truth. And just got to call it like it is. And if you guys don't believe me, now that it's gotten popular, flip through YouTube videos. Go search all these little smaller channels of guys uploading their lifts and look how many guys are tiny. And I mean tiny, looking like they don't lift. And not like when you guys say, oh, Jason, you don't look like you lift. No, I mean guys who really and truly don't look like they lift. Guys who have 50 pounds less lean body mass than I do. Doing 600 and 700 pound above the knee rack pulls with straps. There are tons of them. There are dozens of them up there. Tiny little sucked up guys who don't even look like they lift can do that. So if it's not making them grow, these 600 and 700 pound, 4-inch, 5-inch range of motion rack pulls, it's still leaving these guys looking tiny. That should tell you something. But imagine the impact that has on their recovery, because 600 and 700 pounds of weight compressing down on their spine, and yet they still don't have any size or strength. They're beating up their recovery. It affects their ability to train and generate more workload throughout the week. And the reality is, I agree with Dr. Mike. What is it I have told you guys for years? People ask me, Jason, why in certain phases with your volume do you do deficit deadlifts? You guys remember I would do 7 to 10 sets of 3 on deficit deadlifts. A lot of volume with them. And I'm like, because they're a better muscle builder. I love the deadlift. The conventional deadlift is quite possibly my favorite exercise. I will be the first to admit the deficit deadlift, and he said deficit and snatch grip, you get a similar effect, are superior hypertrophy exercises to my beloved deadlift. They're superior to the point to where when I'm in certain phases of my training, I'm not deadlifting at all, like right now. And when I'm trying to do higher volumes of training, high volume triples, what have you guys seen me historically do? Deficit deadlifts. Because I know that the deficit deadlift, because I have at least a fundamental knowledge of human biomechanics and how hypertrophy is stimulated, I know they're a better exercise for putting muscle on you. That's just reality. Not saying the deadlift doesn't have its place as part of a program for that, but if you're really trying to get the meat and potatoes, the longer range of motion variations of the deadlift are going to allow you to gain a little more size. They're slightly easier to recover from, and they move the weight through a longer range of motion. It puts you into more inefficient levers that require more muscle fiber recruitment with less weight involved. That's going to allow you more total growth stimulus. So the reality is these rack pulls are going in the opposite direction. Now, I'm not saying there aren't some rack pull variations that have sport-specific reasons. Below the knee rack pulls for some people, though I would say you're still a dick if you do it in someone else's gym. You need to get blocks. And if you're going to do them at home, don't destroy your own bars and rack. Get blocks. Do block pulls. Below the knee block pulls do have their place for weak point specialization for deadlifting for power lifters. For nobody else. Definitely not for hypertrophy, right? Rack pulls for extreme grip training, but again, you could do that on blocks, have their place for serious power lifters. But the truth is, most people out there aren't at the level to where they need that exercise to help build their grip. And when I say that exercise is useful, you lift more than your max without straps. In other words, you take your mixed grip or your hook grip or whatever you're going to use, and you do a partial so that you can actually lift a weight and hold it in your hands for grip training that is stronger, is a heavier weight than you could ever pull off the floor. But that's purely for grip work. It's not going to build your traps any better. It's not going to build your back any better. It's purely there as a grip training tool. So there are certain types of partials on deadlifts that have very sport-specific training for strength athletes who are at an advanced or elite level who need to overcome a weakness. But for the overwhelming majority of lifters out there, you are never going to benefit from a partial deadlift. Most of you will never be at that level to where either one of those variations are probably a big deal for you. I mean, if you guys are still thinking that doing reps with 500 pounds on a beltless deadlift is difficult, if that's still something you're trying to get to, or you recently got to, this is not even a concern for you. At the end of the day, guys who are doing this for hypertrophy, I don't want to say they're stupid. They're ignorant. They are either willfully ignorant and dumb people themselves, like some of those who promoted it, or they're charlatans who know they don't work and they're promoting it, or they're naive, less experienced kids who've been sucked in and told that it's going to work, or some people have heard it from some bro guys. But when you have experts like Dr. Mike who are breaking it down and basically making fun of you and saying that every time he sees someone doing this for hypertrophy on social media, he wishes he could hit a dislike button, that should tell you something. It should tell you a lot. Be careful who you listen to. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.